None in the world wants to be failure. Everyone wants to be a great person with fame and name. While reaching to the destination, some of the people do hurry and they just try to be out of right path. They just get deviated from their right path. In the meantime, some people are such in nature who slowly move forward. As a result, they reach at the peak where they not only protect the dignity, they gain fame and name as well. This is the talk show which welcomes such personality, and me, the host of this hot talk, Mr. Raj Pandey, would like to heartily welcome you all viewers in this episode. Dear viewers, we all know that Nepal is a small country, but it has high diversity. Though geographically it is small, lots of chances are over here, lots of opportunities are over here. If we can utilize them, it gets uplifted soon. In protecting such resources or to develop country, many organizations are working over here for a long time. Many such organizations are just working either to develop the country or for their own fame and name. But very less such organizations are over there which are really dedicated to develop country, to rural development or to overall development of country. Among such organizations, European Union to Nepal is one. We all know that it has been launching many projects in Nepal for its overall development. To talk about it in detail, today we have European Union Ambassador to Nepal, Veronica Codey. Heartily welcome in Hot Talk, Veronica.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me here.
How are you feeling?
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable, okay. It has been 1 year that you have been selected as Ambassador to Nepal.
Indeed, I began my duties in September last.
So, how are you getting Nepal or in Nepalese?
Well, I wouldn't claim to be Nepalese, but I am settling in well, and I have to say I've received a very warm welcome from the Nepali people.
We all know that many projects are there from EU and lots of objectives are there of EU. So one of them is to develop all the countries. Of course, there are certain objectives to Nepal as well. Can you clarify?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, we've been here for more than 3 decades. The EU has been in Nepal. We have a twin objective in being here. The first is to contribute to Nepal's development as a country. And the second, of course, is to enhance EU-Nepal diplomatic relations. Also, I would say that we are here to share and promote our founding principles, which are very much based on democracy, human rights and good governance. I would also like to point out a very positive aspect of our relations, which are that our assistance has tripled in the last 7 years. We began the financial framework year of 2007 to 2013 with 120 million euro, and the financial envelope now is 360 million euro, so it has tripled in that time. We're also working together with the government on a number of key areas which have been identified as priorities. Of course, the first is reconstruction after the earthquake, which was so devastating for Nepal. Another area we're working to assist the government in increasing its competitive edge in trade. We're working on education, on nutrition. On education, perhaps I should also specifically mention vocational and technical education, which we think is very important to give young people the kind of skill sets they need to obtain employment in the country and not to have to leave. And we're also working on rural development and achieving, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals. So quite a lot happening.
Okay, it's fine. So as you said that there are many programs launched by EU to Nepal. Actually, all the sectors are occupied by the projects of EU. So in the meantime, I want to know, and we all want to know that recently what are the projects being drawn? Okay, as you said that after earthquake as well, EU has done lots of activity for social development, for the economic development of country as well. Okay, in the meantime, recently, what are the activities that are being drawn, or the projects on which EU is focused on?
Well, we have something of the order of 50 projects running at the current moment. We're working, as I said, the priority sectors for us are education, agriculture and nutrition, energy infrastructure, public financial management, and of course we have the multi-sector nutrition plan, which we've worked on. We're also the Aid for Trade facilitator, and we're also working with the government in that sector as well. I think we're particularly happy to see the progress that Nepal has been making in these priority sectors where we've been engaged. Let's take, for example, education. We have witnessed a net enrolment rate of over 97% of boys and girls in primary education. This was something that would not have been seen 20 years ago, so it's a very strong sign of progress. We also note that Nepal has received an international award on nutrition for being a pioneer in its field, and we congratulate the Nepali government on that. This has been an important award because it recognises the advances that Nepal has made in tackling stunting of growth, which is where children don't reach the height that they should have for their age, and in wasting, where they don't reach the weight that they should have for their age. So this has been very positive. To give you another example, we're also working on the coffee value chain, and we aim at making a significant contribution to a 60% increase in quality coffee production from the Himalayas in the next 3 to 5 years. So these are two particular areas.
It's organic coffee farming.
Organic coffee farming.
As you said that you have been focusing on agriculture as well, like to develop the overall country. So you need to focus on agriculture. That's what you is doing in Nepal, right? You are focusing organic farming as well. So any reason behind that?
Well, we think first of all that coffee as a product has a great future. It was something of a surprise to me when I came to Nepal to see so many very modern and new and progressive coffee shops selling high quality coffee. We think this is a sector that has potential for growth, and we believe very much, of course, as many do now around the world, in being as green as possible. And we think organic farming is more sustainable in the long run, gives a better product, and it's something that can be pursued here in Nepal.
As you said that there is good quality coffee in Nepal, production of good quality of coffee. But the sad thing is what Nepalese produce, but we are unable to consume that good quality coffee. What do you think?
I'm not sure. As I said, I see the growth in the number of coffee shops around, and they always seem to be well peopled. So I think maybe the younger generation in Nepal are developing a taste for coffee. This is often the case. I come from Ireland, which is not a coffee producing country and was originally not a coffee drinking country. We're very much focused on tea, but coffee consumption has grown enormously, even in the last 20 years. It's been a sector that has grown considerably, and I think that there's a potential for this too in Nepal.
Yeah, we all know that organic farming is very essential because it helps us to not only grow up, rather to grow with physically and mentally as well. But the sad thing is what these days many chemicals have been used in farming that is causing somehow degradation not only to soil, even to health of us. What do you think? What can be done to encourage farmers for organic farming?
Well, I think one of the things that's key is to encourage farmers to use chemical-free pesticides, to use organic pesticides, to promote green methods wherever they can, to ensure that they have the right products that are chemical-free, and that they know also they have the right education to use these products and how and manage them in an organic manner.
Yeah, but the thing is what when they consume only organic fertilizer, that time they have been suffered from economic status. I mean, they are not getting the dignity of labor if they use only organic fertilizer. But yeah, sometimes we can see nowadays that number of farmers who are doing organic farming is increasing day by day. For that, as you said, education is also required. They should be well known how to use chemicals, what are the advantages of that. The sad news is what those farmers who are very working hard time and again are unable to know exactly the use of chemical. Okay, I mean they are uneducated. Yeah, I hope the government and related organizations will be thinking upon it as well, how to make farmers educated, or how to make farmers well aware of using chemicals, either chemicals are beneficial or not. That information is very essential. In the meantime, I want to join one thing that the development of country can be done from many aspects, but agriculture is one. Yeah, and the EU is actually launching many programs, or has been launching many programs for development of rural area as well, remote area as well. So can you talk about it?
Well, in rural areas we have a range of projects, particularly in inaccessible areas. As I mentioned, we have projects on nutrition, which we think is extremely important. Nepal has a very young population, and it's important that they grow up healthy and having access to proper nutrition. I've just visited Province 6, where I was in Calicut, and I visited our nutrition projects there, and this is very important. I visited many of the small plots which we have developed with local people, where they are growing organic crops. They're growing rice, they're growing seeds, they're growing vegetables, and they are all developing kitchen gardens so that they have access to organic products. And this is, I think, the way forward, and this is what we're doing.
Actually, whatever we have in our locality, if we use properly, that is what the development requires, or that is what we need to develop.
Exactly, and I would also say that our projects are, the people working on our projects are very keen to transmit the necessary information to the local farmers on how to farm organically. So there's an education aspect to it, as well as financial assistance.
What do you think? Is there modernization in farming or agriculture in Nepal? Do you see? Or you have felt so? You have seen so?
It's something I'm not terribly aware of, but it's not an area that I'm very familiar with.
But what do we know? That almost 62% Nepalese are farming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But most of them are using the classical techniques of doing anything else. That is same in agriculture as well. I mean to say is what traditionally they are doing farming. Okay. So it is actually what they have been doing, but not it does not give much more fruitful or let's say effect, or let's say it does not give much more benefit to them, I think. So I mean, for modernization, what can be done, or how can we involve them in modernized agriculture?
Well, again, I would take the example of coffee. What we are trying to do is to assist the local farmers in adding value to the product. Instead of simply growing the coffee beans and then selling them, that instead they would go through the other levels of production that will allow them to have a finished product that will have a ready market at the end of the process. So, for example, roasting the beans, drying the beans, roasting them, and then packaging properly, and then having proper outlets that that they can sell their product at the appropriate price. These are the things that I think bring a competitive advantage and would go towards modernising farming.
So, what do you think to develop overall country, or I mean Nepal? So, what can be done? Only agriculture is sufficient, or other things are over there in your
No, agriculture is a big part of the kind of development that can go on in Nepal, but it's not, of course, the only thing. Education is extremely important, particularly with the young population that you have. Studies have proven that people who with higher levels of education secure better jobs, better work in the long term, and they have better quality of life. So I think education is a must, and this is an area which I know the government has as a priority, and we are working closely with them in that area. And to good effect, I think, as I mentioned some of the statistics earlier on access to education for boys and girls and enrolment in school. But there are also, of course, other areas that need to be improved, like teacher-student ratio, and the curriculum, of course, is very important as well. So that's one other area that I would say, as well as agriculture. Also trade. trade needs to be improved, higher level of exports, and chipping away at the trade deficit would be very important. That means, of course, also opening up the market.
So you just mentioned about the education. The sad news in Nepal is what many students or youth especially who complete their let's say one level, let's say intermediate level or bachelor level, they often dream to be out of country, to go there, to learn there, to earn there, and to be stabilized over there. So what do you think? Is it good to Nepal?
Well, I actually think, and I mentioned this earlier, that's one of the reasons we're engaged in technical and vocational education, is we think that many young people in Nepal need to develop the skill sets to find employment here. And of course, job creation, which I know again is one of the priorities of the new government, will be very important to develop the industrial sector more to create jobs. I think that the numbers of Nepalis migrating is a cause of concern. I know on the one hand they send back remittances which are very helpful in contributing to the economy, 30% of the GDP, but this in the long term is probably not so good for the country, over-reliance on remittances. It would be better if these migrants had the opportunity to find work in Nepal. And I would also say that that level of migration must also affect the social fabric in rural communities where women are left with children on their own and perhaps find it difficult to both work and take care of the family. And this erodes the normal family structure.
So you mentioned that vocational training is very essential, and for that youths may go outside, they earn, learn and come back to Nepal. That's good, but if they want to be there for a long time, it is not good, as you said. So regarding the vocational training, what are the activities done by EU? I mean, EU is focused on vocational training or not?
Well, it's one of the projects that we are pursuing, yes, and this is an area where we think there's again potential to do more.
Means lots of thing is required to be done, okay, in vocational training, okay. Indeed. So and one thing I want to ask is what to develop the rural to develop the remote area of Nepal. You just said that there must be the equal education to boys and girls, okay. The ratio is to be increased, you are saying. So in the meantime, to bring equality in gender as well. So does it do anything, or is it doing anything else?
To bringing equality in gender.
Yeah.
Yes, I think school attendance and school enrollment in schools has greatly improved for girls than what it was. The figures were 20 years ago. This is very important, and we see that now. We also think, of course, that young girls need to be encouraged to participate more, not to leave school so early. Perhaps also the not to engage in child marriage, which generally leads to their terminating their education, and instead to continue their education as long as possible. They
should not be hurried for doing marriage, or they should continue their education for a long time, okay, as you said. So one thing that what I want to know from you is, so in rural area there are many people who are really deprived of lots of things, okay, like suppose in education or suppose in agriculture, okay. So for them, can we do anything else, or does you do anything to them?
We work very closely with UNICEF on nutrition, and we consider this very important because of the very high rates of stunting in Nepal, which is still the case, unfortunately. And this is an area where we would consider it a priority to help. And for that reason we work with UNICEF. We have a project of 22 million euro on the multi-sector nutrition program, and we work together with the government on this. And basically this is introducing the essential foods that are needed for child development already in the first 1,000 days of life of the fetus of the child. So this greatly basically gives every child a very positive start in life by having the proper nutrition within the first 1,000 days. And then of course we have education programs where we educate the young mothers on the kind of nutrition that's needed for the child to grow. the essential nutrients that must be taken every day, and how they can access those nutrients. We also provide money then to grow kitchen gardens and for basic livestock, poultry, for example.
Means you has been doing such activities to encourage people to get good nutrition or to work in organic way, right?
Yes.
So right now I want to ask one thing, that you have been from abroad. I mean, you are not from Nepal. You have visited many countries. You have been doing many activities in different countries. So what have you got while comparing this country and Nepal? While working, are you feeling comfortable? Are we all supportive to you? Or what have you got?
Well, I have always have very positive feedback from the government counterparts and others that we discuss our development programs with, our development partners, with whom we work very closely. I think the EU's efforts in Nepal are very much appreciated by the government. At least this is what they tell me. So
it's hard that it's difficult to work in Nepal. Is not it for you?
I think it's difficult to work in certain areas in Nepal because they're very inaccessible, they're difficult to reach, and of course it's often the most needy people that are in the most inaccessible areas. But we have projects in Barpak, we have projects in Kaski, we have projects in Calicut, we have projects in the far west.
Means you
so
have
in many
remote areas.
We do, yes. Often because the needs in those areas, the needs of the people in those areas are most acute, and they're the people who need our help most.
Hope that you will reach, you is reaching to these places where others are not able to go, or lots of difficulties are over there to reach, yet you is reaching over there to promote people, to do lots of activities, or to encourage them for getting quality education or for doing agriculture and so on else. Okay.
But I think there are many other development partners who are also working in remote areas, but Nepal is a very big country, so I know that traditionally we think people say little Nepal because of the two very big countries as your neighbours, but it's a very big country looked at separately from that context, and there's a great deal to do. So I think there's plenty of work for all of the development partners here.
So. Dear Veronica, we are at the last of the Hot Talk program of Krishi Television. What message would you like to leave as Excellency of Delegation of European Union to Nepal? Well,
I think I would like to first of all thank all of the Nepali people for the warm welcome I've received since I came here. I would also tell them that the EU is working very much to improve their daily lives here in Nepal, in the many sectors that I've already mentioned, and that we wish them well under this new government, and we wish stability and prosperity for Nepal in the coming years.
Thank you so much for your valuable time, dear Veronica.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, we all know that we belong to Nepal. It's very small geographically, but lots of ways are over there to develop it very soon. For that, wherever you are, either in village or in city, if we do hard work and continue it for a long time, of course, it is the root of development of country. Thank you for your time. It's me, Besraj Pandey.